Hey guys, and welcome back to a new video. Today it's once again time for my TBR game, and before we get into that, I wanted to announce that I have changed my rules a little bit again. I know it's a little bit confusing, but I had some really cool ideas that I really wanted to include in this game, and I decided that I'm going to do a spreadsheet with like all the rules so that new people can understand, what's going on. So I'll leave a link to that down in the description, because I realized with my new rules that I created for 2021, I wouldn't end up, having like an extra prompt, which I think is pretty fun. So I really wanted to include that again. I'm just going to go over the new rules. I decided that if I actually complete my TBR, I get to change a prompt that I get in the next month so that I, have some kind of prize, I guess. Before I was able to change a prompt if I got the Jack, but now that means I get to double up and then draw another card, if that makes sense. So I could choose one book that fits like true prompts from the TBR game. And if I don't end up reading every single book from my TBR, I am allowed to change that book to another book that fits that prompt. And if I still don't read it, I'm just going to roll that over to the next month. And if I then don't read it, I'm going to do a giveaway. And then once again, bringing back that old rule that if I get the same prompt in the same video or in 2 videos in a row, I have to add an extra prompt at the end. So these are the new rules. I hope it wasn't too confusing. I swear I'm not going to change them now. But yeah, now let's get into the actual video and let's look at how well I did in January. Now this was my January TBR. The first one was Siege and Storm, which I actually ended up DNFing. I just didn't care about the story and I just wanted to read it for the show. I decided I'm just going to read like a recap online or something. So yeah, I'm just not in the mood to force my way through like very bad books. So yeah. I also had Death Note Volume 1 on there, and I'm actually currently reading that one. I have that much left, so it's definitely possible considering that today is like the 23rd, I believe, of January, so can definitely finish this. I also had A Deadly Education on there, which I have finished, and I have some thoughts about this one. I don't think I was ever that disappointed with the book. And I also had a mood read, and I went with The Boy, the Mole, the Fox and the Horse, which is a graphic novel. This was my first read and I loved it. As you can see, I have tabbed it loads, so yeah, really loved this one. And then for my big book, I have Dark Dawn, but I'm this way into it, so I still have a lot to go, but I have time until the end of February to finish this, so it's fine. So I could technically change a prompt because I'm definitely going to finish Death Note, which is the last one for my TBR, so we'll see if I end up using that. And also in February, I want to participate in the Polarthon hosted by JD Ray Reads. It's happening in the first week of February. I'm probably not going to finish all these books in the first week, but at least, in February I want to get to the books for that readathon. And I have decided that I wanted to be part of the polar bear team, just because the prompts fit my books that I want to get to really nicely. I think you can double up once or twice, I'm not sure. I did it once because we actually have 4 prompts for our team, and then the 5th prompt is to read Polar Fantasy, which I didn't choose a book for that yet. I don't think I'm going to get to as many books in that week, so yeah, I just doubled that up. But every other book that I have now on my TBR is a Polar Fantasy, which is very good. But yeah, let's now look at my cards and see what they chose for me. First prompt, the 10 of Spades. Low expectations. So the first prompt that I got was low expectations, which is not the best prompt, but I think this kind of fits. I chose The Crowns Game by Evelyn Skye. I've had this on my TBR for ages. I was thinking about DNF or unholing this one. I was actually surprised that this was a polar fantasy, but the first line of the premise is Vika Andreeva can summon the snow and turn ash into gold. So it's a polar fantasy. But this is actually a Russian fantasy, and it follows these two people, a girl and a boy, and they are one of the last magicians in Russia and the emperor, I think. The Tsar needs one enchanter to protect him because there is a war incoming, I guess. So they basically have to fight each other, and the one who wins is going to be the protector for the Tsar. So this sounds pretty good. I don't have too high expectations because I've literally heard nothing about this book. So this might be kind of a stretch because it definitely sounds like promising, but I don't expect too much out of this one, especially I think because Evelyn Sky has like another book that is really like unpopular, I think. For some reason I'm really in the mood to read about a Russian fantasy, so yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. Next prompt is the 10 of clubs. A to Z. The next prompt I got was A to Z, so I'm going to use a random letter generator to dictate what I read. So basically the letter that I get has to be the first letter of the title that I'm going to read, if that makes sense. So let's generate a W. I guess that counts. So I really want to get to A Winter's Promise. This is definitely a polar fantasy, and the English title starts like with an A, but it doesn't really count, so I'm just calling the W. I don't think I have that many other books that would count for that anyway. But I started this all the way back in August, and now it's just the time to finish this because I loved every second of it, and I'm just so excited to read this. Oh my gosh. Yes. So this follows a girl named Ophelia, and she works in this museum, I believe, and she has two powers. She can travel through mirrors, and if she touches an object, she can basically read it and see like who it belonged to and kind of their life story as well. But then she's supposed to be married off to this other guy from another kingdom, I guess, and he's very grumpy, and that's like about how far I've gotten with this one. I'm just so excited to start this. I want to read this immediately, to be honest. Next one, 7 of Diamonds. A TBR vet. And then I got a TBR vet, and this technically doesn't count because I've already read this book, but I've forgotten most of it. So it's been on there for a long while, and I've been wanting to reread it for ages now, so I guess it counts. I really want to get to ACOTAR, honestly, just because the 4th book is coming out very soon. I really want to, you know, catch up on the series. I've actually read the first 2 in the series, but I've forgotten like majority of what happened in them. I know that this is a polar fantasy, the second one not so much, but you know, it counts and I want to read it, so that's what's happening. Do I have to say anything else about this one? I think everyone knows what this is about. So yeah, we're just going to leave it at that. I realized I didn't even tell you the prompts for Polarthon. So let me go back. So I'm reading The Crowns Game for a white cover because this has a lot of white on it. Then I'm reading A Winter's Promise for a cold word. So winter definitely counts for that. And this will also be my double up for polar fantasy because this is like actually a polar fantasy. And then I'm reading ACOTAR for a journey. And I think this counts because Farah goes to the Fae world, which is like a journey. And the last prompt is the 9 of Spades. Based on mythology. And the last prompt is based on mythology. And I actually have 2 options for this. My first choice, however, is a classic for Polarthon, The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden. This is actually also inspired by Russian folklore, so this definitely fits based on mythology. But I think this is also about kind of the battle between indigenous religions and spirituality and Christianity. So I'm really excited to read about that. However, I'm not sure if I'll have the time to read many physical books in February because I have some very important exams at the end of February. So just in case, I have another option, which is a German book called Morgenthau, and this would be a reread. This is one of my absolute favorite books, and I can just listen to the audiobook. This is set in a futuristic world, I think in the 3000s, I think. And humans have basically destroyed like the whole world, and then there is Gaia, who basically put the whole earth under snow, and there's just like a little spot where humans live. I'm explaining this very badly, but this is like a romance fantasy, and it's just so cute, and I cried at every book that I read from the series, so I just really am craving a reread of this, and you know, as a backup, it's kind of nice should I not be able to get to The Bear and the Nightingale. And these would fit the prompt for cozy vibes. So these are the books that I picked for Polarthon. I'm probably not going to read them in the first week of February just because I have to work. But hopefully I'll get to all of them in February. And also Dark Dawn. It's honestly going to be a struggle, to be honest, because I have like around 600 pages left of Dark Dawn, so I'm really not sure if that's going to happen, but yeah. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you made it to the end, please leave the cards emoji down in the comments and give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you aren't already, and I will see you next time. Goodbye, guys.